Ladies and gentlemen, today we are taking a look at a new DualSense controller, but it's not just any DualSense controller. While we have had different variations with different colors or special editions, we also have what seems to be the DualSense V2, as it's being called, and this seemed to go into circulation a couple of months ago, but I did notice it's really come to the forefront of different headlines and like news in general, so I thought it was finally time to check this thing out, and it seems that it's coming with some of the newer PlayStation 5 systems, the ones that have the matte plastic on the outside of the shell, or the Walmart Icon Blue Special Edition controller. So I picked it up, and I figured we'd take a look at it here today because it does have one big upgrade that people are really pointing towards, and that is I'll say substantially even upgraded battery life. This one apparently is up to 15 hours of gameplay on a single charge, and well, for the PlayStation 5, that's pretty good. So if you guys enjoy the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. I will admit, I do like the look just outright here on the box for the Icon Blue Special Edition. This is exclusive to Walmart, and so if you're wondering about this new controller, how you can tell if that's the one that you'd be getting, right here is sort of the model for it, CFI ZCT2W. Apparently that is the V2 for the controller. All right, first impressions. Although the symbols are really pronounced too. I mean, if you have the DualSense Edge, you're able to see them pretty well. This though, I mean, it really sticks out right there. We get like the light and it reflects off of it. I do like the blue, like the two-tone here. I think it looks really good, and I mean, it matches up with Walmart, the blue. It it makes sense there. I do also like the Japanese writing on the back. That's pretty nice there. It's a good-looking controller. I mean, if you're a fan of blue, yeah, you're probably gonna like this. I will say I've seen so many different DualSense controllers come out now. I'm a little overbuying every single controller that comes out at this point. This, again, kind of caught my eye because of the V2 designation for it. The white symbols on the buttons here, nice contrast against that blue as well there. And then also on the D-pad. Like I said, this is a nice looking controller. All right, let's get to it. Get the plastic piece that pops off here. Hopefully that's all still the same, because that was the easy thing to be able to just change these out with just some basic pieces of plastic then that people would sell online to customize it. We then have our screws on the bottom here, and then we have to take these two shoulder buttons off to get to other screws. All right, buttons out, remove some screws, broke some clips free. Yeah, I got the back off here. And, oh, that's interesting. So there's like this plastic shell around the battery, almost like a holder, that was not with that original DualSense controller. Now, there were discussions about there being a removable battery DualSense controller down the line. It seemed like that was something that was at least being floated, and it was showing up online in different rumors and apparently classifications and filings. It's possible maybe this is a way for them to then get to that point, as you would want, of course, some kind of like black plastic cage inside to hold the battery where you drop it in or remove it. You can see, though, right here, we no longer have that second microphone. Now, there was still that piece right here where it looks like it would line up so that the microphone can then hear the room. Not the case, though, and that was kind of the idea that I thought the second microphone was used to hear the room so that it could block out any background noise, since, well, most people who go online forget to mute themselves. You go into like a Call of Duty lobby and half the microphones for the DualSense controller, they're just on and you're hearing a bunch of stuff. And we can see the battery, I mean, it just lifts right out of there. It's a plug-in battery, so it's just replaceable just like that. I believe it is the same. I mean, it doesn't look any different, like in terms of the size of it. Still a 1,560 milliamp hour battery, so it doesn't look like they've made the battery any larger in order to get more battery life out of it. My assumption, because I don't even know if that second microphone being removed would get you better battery life, at least not to that degree where we're talking about going from, I mean, the typical DualSense controller get what, just under 10 hours for a lot of people, and they've been making it better, but going up 12 to 15 hours even, there's a little more, I'd say, than just that microphone. Plastic cage came out with one screw, and now we have our main board here. I have to remove some of the ribbon cables. I'll probably just leave this solder on so I can flip it around. I just wanted to get some pictures of the board, just see if there's anything we can come up with here for how Sony exactly is drawing less power from the same size battery.
Okay, I got some pictures of both boards here, and I have them side by side, and we can take a look, I think, at a few differences here that may be contributing to the better battery life for the V2 DualSense controller. That is the image on the right. The image on the left is the older V1 DualSense controller. And I mean, you could see immediately that there is a difference in terms of the number of chips, where we have 3 on the V1 right here, just in the center. And then on our V2, we do have 2 chips here. We also are missing our microphone, as we kind of already discussed. There's no input here at the bottom for it. And while I do think that is a factor, if you look at the setup, it does appear that they managed to consolidate down and maybe add more efficiency by changing things up. For example, we do have our chips here, 2 of them, a Realtek chip here, and then we have another one. These 2 would be responsible for things like audio processing. I mean, you can see it runs directly to even the microphone here, and then also Bluetooth for connection. And here on the right, we have a MediaTek chip that replaces at least one of them. And the idea here, because this MediaTek chip is like a Bluetooth, low power Bluetooth chipset, that will be obviously responsible then for connecting to the system. There's no more microphone here that will then run to an audio chip or anything. It seems that maybe Sony went ahead and, in order to increase efficiency, consolidated down and took that audio processing and moved it into their new chip that's on the other side. You can see also the power management chip here is basically the same. So this would be responsible, this chip up here is responsible for things like charging the battery, limiting the amount of charge or power that would then go to that battery, and just managing all of that through the USB here, which is pretty standard. But if we look at the chip on the front, this is the main Sony chip here. It is different. I mean, size-wise, it's a little bit smaller, but also it seems to be a newer chip, the 71GG. And unfortunately, there's really nothing online going over this at all. So I was curious if maybe I could find some sort of data sheet or something that does at least mention it maybe being now responsible for some of the audio processing. That's kind of what I'm thinking Sony has done here. So if they consolidate down, remove some of these chips, like as you can see here, the audio processing being the main one, if that then was rolled into their newer chip here, that would actually work to eliminate some of the power draw, and in turn then add that back into the battery life. That seems to be 20 to 30% better, just based on some rough tests and estimates at this time. I haven't run that, of course, myself, because I just got the controller, but I probably will go ahead, charge it, and use it over the course of the next week or so, just to see how maybe it holds up. How many times during the week I have to charge it, for example. And I've been using the DualSense Edge, so I will admit it's hard to go back to a standard DualSense controller when I have the Edge controller. That's one of the reasons I really haven't been as interested in picking up different special edition controllers for the PS5, unless it's, of course, the PlayStation, like PlayStation Anniversary gray controller that kind of seemed almost mandatory to pick up for the history of the brand there. But that's kind of what I'm seeing here, because the battery is still the same size, still uses the same kind of power management chip. It just seems like they work to add more efficiency through way of legitimately just eliminating some components and rolling them into their custom chipset here on the front. And because of this, it does make me wonder if maybe the DualSense Edge will get a similar treatment if it hasn't already. I haven't bought a new DualSense Edge in a while since I got my original one, but that is a controller I would like to see get better battery life, because unfortunately that is like the worst battery life, and it's also the most expensive controller. So maybe that down the line will get a similar treatment here. And then there's also been discussion around maybe another DualSense controller with a removable battery. Seems maybe that could be the next step after this, since Sony is working to make just the overall efficiency of the controller better. Maybe they get to the point where it can also have a removable battery that would allow you to exchange it if you have a problem with your battery, as opposed to having to tear it down at least to the board here to unplug it and then put a new one in. At least it's not the worst thing in the world to do that, but there is some disassembly that's required, as opposed to just removing the back door, say on a battery compartment, where you have to slide that off and then drop a new battery in. But really cool stuff to see that Sony has made physical changes inside this V2 controller. I mean, yes, in a way to cut down costs, I'm sure this is just cheaper because there's just less components they have to account for here, but still also giving us better battery life for the controller. I am also curious about how there's no back microphone, how exactly that does for at least the audio when it comes to the front microphone on the controller. Let me know what you guys think about this down below, especially if you're someone who did pick up a recent V2 DualSense controller. Let me know your experiences in the comments, if maybe the battery life is noticeably better, or if you've had experience maybe with the microphone now that there is just one and not a back-facing, if that has made any real discernible difference in audio quality when you're playing online or just using it in general. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.